Okay, good evening, everybody. My name is Chaim. I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, Chaim.
Odette, thank you so much for the invitation. We never met. I even didn't see your picture. I'm dressed up like Stevie Wonder tonight because not by choice, I had an eye intervention yesterday, but I forgot about this commitment. And for me, AA commitment is a commitment. I love doing it. So it's okay. I feel okay. I just don't want to scare you with the black eyes. First, I wanted to start the whole meeting by showing you my black eyes and telling you as a joke that I'm a beaten man. But you'll understand that I was a beaten man through the story without really being physically beaten. Well, I am an alcoholic. Odette, are you the timekeeper also? Would you let
Yes,
me?
sure.
Okay.
I'll let you know. Yes, of course.
Would you let me know 5 minutes prior to the end, please? Thanks a lot.
No problem.
Okay, so let me tell you, the AA way is to tell you how it was and how is it now. And that's all I have is really my experience, strengths, and hope. I'm not a preacher. I'm not going to patronize you with my profound knowledge, although I am really seeking your approval, your admiration, and your acknowledgement. But this is a joke, of course, because it's part of the sick disease that I have. I never chose to be an alcoholic or an addict, and it so happened through the circumstances. And my romance with this substance called alcohol really started quite early. I remember that I had my first drink around the age of 13, 14, and I loved the effect it did on me. It changed my mood. I changed completely. And I hated the taste. I remember it was a gin tonic, and I couldn't understand how anybody can swallow. It had the taste of a medicine. But the physical medicine had a terrible effect on my tongue, but the spiritual one, what it did to my soul and feelings was wonderful. And then I drank more and more and so on. And I remember in the army, age of 18, I joined the Israeli army, and first time they gave us, after duty, we were somewhere in Dimona, where, the famous factory, yarn factory. And we went to Beersheba, and 2 people came drunk back. One of them was me, and I was humiliated, or we had fun with the first sergeant major. So it went from bad to worse. But when I started really realizing through the step work, through AA, what does alcoholism really mean or meant in my life, I came to understand, and I'm still in the process. Nothing has been finished or done, although my sobriety date is October 26, 1992, which the miracle happened, and I never had a drink or drug since then, for which I'm tremendously grateful. But the effect was a disastrous one, really a disastrous. I slowly doing the work, taking the tool box you gave me, sponsorship, working with others, you gave me hope, you gave me a lot of change into my life. And I started searching, and I started developing a new conscience. I started finding out what really went wrong, and I could see, I step by step my life from the place I was born, through my family system, through the neglect, through the abandonment, through tremendous spiritual and emotional neglect, and a lot of fear, a lot of shame involved in it. And I came to realize that my ism, the alcoholism or my disease, my addiction, has unfortunately very little to do with the substance called alcohol, which is the catalyzer of my disease. When I have one drink, I cannot stop. I want more and thousands and, but that's not the essence of my disease. My disease is, this is my allergy. This is the allergy, the physical allergy I have to substance called alcohol, and then I developed the same allergy to other substances. But the obsession, the emotional obsession, the spiritual obsession I have through life, that's a really torturous way to live life. My experience is that living under my experiences, and I will always share only my experience, it's a very painful, very hard way of living, being an addict. And I come from a family system which was very distorted. I came to realize that. I found it out through the step work, listening to you, learning how to express myself, how to ask emotional questions, how to ask for my needs, how to put anything I know about this disease and how to speak about myself comes from AA. I had no idea. I was ashamed. I was embarrassed. I didn't want anybody to see me entering the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. And they saved my life, and I'm really grateful. So let me tell you a little bit the story. 1980, I was fed up. I was already after 3 wars, 6 days war, Hatasha and Yom Kippur war. And I was an excellent soldier. I was in a fighting unit. I was a very creative entrepreneur. I opened the first chain of do-it-yourself centers. Big one in Tel Aviv, then one in Jerusalem that I lost a lot of money in Jaffa Street. And then I sold franchise. I was really on the top of the world, driving a huge car and spending all my time in bars and private clubs, especially the Rafi Shauli bar and club in Tel Aviv. And the pain didn't disappear. It didn't go anywhere. And May 1980, the pain was so profound. It was my alcoholism that I just made a geographical trip, escaped for 1 week to Guatemala, and I stayed there 28 years. I arrived to Guatemala, which is a heaven for drunks, for drug addicts. They really respect macho, violent, obnoxious human beings like me. So I felt at home and I stayed, and I was too embarrassed to come back. I forgot, and I abandoned 2 children, a daughter of 12 and a son of 11. And being abandoned myself in the age of 7 in a sort of orphanage for a year, or boarding school, whatever you call it, but it's very lonely, very cold place. I forgot all about it. So the victim has become a victimizer, and I have really planted a lot of pain in my relationship to many people, which then I'm still in the process of doing all the redeem damage I'm trying through modeling a new behaving, a new being through the steps. So I came to Guatemala, and after a stop in New York and then in Miami, I spent all the rest of the money that I had in bars in New York. I remember their names even, but I could never hide the pain. It was so hurtful. It was unbelievable. Stayed a couple of days in New York, and then I remember the name Adam's Apple and Portnoy's Complain. That's the name of 2 bars that I I spent a lot of money there in New York. But it wasn't Portnoy's complaint. It was my soul's complaint. And it was so hurtful. It's unbelievable. I can recall now, and I don't want ever to forget how painful I arrived to Guatemala finally. So I stopped in Miami. I still had a couple of bucks in my pocket, and grandiosity took me to the Fontainebleau Hilton, the Mayor Lansky's hotel, the Jewish gangster, and I spent the rest of it. And I arrived in Guatemala with $35 in my pocket. I was a heavy smoker then, smoked like 3-4 packs, and I felt that I want to die. That's it. That's the end of my life. I didn't want to live. I was 36 years old, and my life came to a closure, emotional closure, physical, and well, something kept me going. My surviving tools then was alcohol, and then I never understood people who use drugs. I was very critical of them until I tried my first line of cocaine, and then I became suddenly Dr. Freud, and I couldn't stop that substance either. And of course, anybody that would give me a pill, I would take it. Luckily, it was an X-Lax. They gave me like Ritalin style, amphetamines, and I loved them too, so I could drink longer and more. And it was hard. It was really, the party has stopped, but I didn't notice. And that was 1980, and God has blessed me with surviving tools and talents, and I started a new business in Guatemala, and it was successful again, and that's my demon. When I have money, I spend it. I'm trying to impress people. I'm trying to look for admiration, for love, and for anything that can reduce the emotional pain that I'm carrying. And so I could carry on like 12 years, from 80 until 92. The business, I had a couple of good ideas, and one of them really worked out for a long time, 30 years almost, gave me a good income. But again, I was ruining, destroying every bit of it, There was a very famous bar in Guatemala. It's called The Office. So anybody would call me, "Where are you in the office?" That wasn't a lie. I was telling the truth, but I didn't tell them that I was also drinking like a drunk that I was. And I did every mistake possible to try and calm down the inner pain. And nothing worked. Relationships didn't work, food didn't work, drugs didn't work, alcohol stopped working. I wanted to die, and I was carrying a gun, a licensed gun on me. And many times I was considering just blowing my head off and stopping this tremendous pain. And I was in a long-term relationship with a Spanish lady, Tony, and one of her friends invited me for my first meeting. She didn't tell me, "Look at yourself, how you behave, look at your life, you're going to destroy the business that you're succeeding now." But she invited me like to a party, come and see. Many of our common friends go to AA, and I was ashamed, I was embarrassed even to consider, myself belonging to AA. It wasn't me, it was somebody else's problem. But I went on October 26 in the evening. I remember I knocked on her door, I followed her. She drove her car, I drove behind her in my car. It was a small room full of smoke. You could smoke then in the rooms. And in Spanish, They call it dando la bienvenida. They welcome you, for all the newcomers. They read the third tradition asking, who wants to join us? Please raise your hand or stand up. And I stood up and I froze. I remember I froze. And I felt a hand on my shoulder, and that was Patricio. Then we're good friends. We are the only survivors from class 92. He's clean and sober, and he came 3 days prior to me. And it's unbelievable, because today I thought about it. How many people came to my home group? My home group, it's called Ciudad Vieja. It's located in Zone 10, Guatemala, and it's the hospital zone. A lot of doctors. We had like 15 doctors and 2 psychiatrists. They were really screwed up. But we were all very screwed up. And I listened to their welcoming, and the miracle happened. First time in my life, I listened men with tattoos on their hands, rough men looking, some of them doctors, talking to me from their heart to my heart. And I loved the language. I could understand. Finally, I could understand something, and I don't recall what they said, but the feeling was, wow, I'm home. I'm home. So I overcame my embarrassment to belong to AA and to be seen as a member of AA. I was hiding, going in and out. Yes, what an unbelievable disease I have, this alcoholism. And they saved my life, those are dear friends. I'm still in contact. I stayed in Guatemala until 2008, 28 years. I was too ashamed to come back. But my sobriety date is October 92. I never had another drink or drug since then. Then I stopped smoking. I was a heavy smoker. And I'm really, really grateful. I love the program. I love AA. I really love the program in all aspects of it. I carry the message. I do a lot of work with newcomers. Also in Guatemala, I had a meeting for newcomers. Then I had a step meeting. Then I went to retreats in the U.S. in a place called On Site, and they really upgraded my recovery too. Like being 3 years clean and sober, I felt stuck. I was again in another very destructive relationship. So I wanted to fix my partner, and we went to coupleship to Tucson, Arizona, and I didn't stop crying for 1 week, because first time in my life somebody explained me that it's not about me, it's a disease that I have, and it's called addiction, and it's or like in our literature of AA, it's an allergy to a substance, an obsession of the mind and the soul, and the lack of believing in a higher power, in God, and wow, first time in my life that I felt that it's really, it's not me, that I'm not mistaken, that I'm not wrong, that I have a disease, that I'm not the disease, and there is a huge difference. And I can tell you that coming with all those excess luggage of shame, of guilt, of pain, of tremendous rage and anger, unresolved, unexpressed. I could have died many, many years ago if I wouldn't come and started to listen to you guys. For which I'm so grateful, and I love AA. I am grateful every day. I go to meetings almost every day, and not because I didn't get it yet. On the contrary, because I believe that I'm starting to get it. But I need you. I need to touch down with the basis, with admitting that I have a disease, that my disease tells me that I don't have a disease. My disease tells me, what the hell, it's Corona now. You're 76. Maybe you go out and have a drink. Won't you ever try it? So let me end the story with a Jerusalem story. 5 years ago, there was a convention in Jerusalem. I don't know if any of you have participated. I went there. I'm from Tel Aviv. I went to this convention. It was very emotional, you know. I could see the walls and the David Tower. It was a beautiful convention. And while entering, somebody told me, you know, the main speaker from the U.S., Clancy from Pacific Group, California, which was supposed to come, didn't show up. So won't you be the speaker, you know? And my ego, wow, I am replacing Clancy. Let me tell you that I grew up on listening to cassettes. If any of you still remember what it is, once upon a time there was cassettes. You used to stick them in the car and in the big radios. I would listen to them, and I would listen to Clancy. I would listen to Chuck. See, they saved my life. You know, those are old-timers. So my ego was really flattered. And I spoke, you know, I can speak, and I like sharing. But I had a huge problem. I couldn't hide my belly. Let me show you. Let me see if you can see the picture. No, it's this size. You can see it? Well, my weight was 134 kilos, which is, I don't know, in pounds, like 230, between 30 and 40. So, you know, I spoke very well, but I couldn't hide my weight. And 12-step talks about, once I got it, when I'm beginning to get it, I will use those tools in every area of my life. And since when does my body does not belong to this equation? And I understood it, and I went to seek help in a 12-step group about another symptom, addiction to food, and I lost 63 kilos. So this is my little Jerusalem story. I love AA. If you are a newcomer, just for today, believe it. It will work. Don't be bashful. The shame, the guilt, you know, all of those surviving tools were good once upon a time. They do not suit me today anymore. Today I have learned how to ask for my needs, how to put limits. I'm not perfect. I'm learning. I'm teachable. I will continue coming because I do need you on a daily basis. Odette, thank you so much, and thank you for this wonderful group. It's really emotional. I thank God. You know, I have a very private relationship today with my higher power, and I pray in my way, not like Frank Sinatra's way, but I do pray. I need higher power. You know, life is too big on me just to deal with it. So please do come back, because it does work, and I do need you, all of you. And thank you so much for this opportunity. Thanks a lot.
Chaim, thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing. Thanks for doing service, for showing up.